Hello everyone. Welcome to Vannam IIT Madras first Panelist, P&G IIT Madras Equality Summit. So this talk, the panel, is going to be about inclusion in the workplace. Change begins at home. So to start off, one of the initiatives that P&G has started. So take a look at the video.
What's wrong?
खबर क्यों रियलाइज किया आज क्या हुआ? आज मेरे पास सिरा रामन के घर जाने का बिल्कुल टाइम नहीं। हाँ मैं बस 5 मिनट में मेल भेज रही हूँ। मैं घर पहुंच ही रही हूँ। अब अच्छा हो जाएगा।
नहीं मिल लेते।
I had so much to do. So मैंने तुम्हें कहा भी पर just acted like my time didn't matter.
Hi. I'm Kamal. My wife Seema. हम लोग ऊपर रहते हैं। I'm Seth. I'm Aman. Hi. अंदर आइए ना। हम बस नाश्ते की तैयारी करते हैं। Please, have some. अमन फर्स्ट क्लास पोहा बनाते हैं। अंदर आइए ना। Yeah. Yeah. Please, this way. चाय लेंगे या कॉफी? चाय?
तुम उनका घर देख रहे थे और
बाथरूम में रखा है ये।
हमने suddenly realized that
क्या चाय बना लिया?
we don't have what they have. मैंने तुम्हें बताने की कोशिश भी की पर देखो साथ में कैसे काम करते हैं। तुमने मेरी बात समझी नहीं।
इसमें क्या? जब मैं और अविनाश कॉलेज में साथ रहते थे ना, तो हम भी सारा काम बांट के करते थे।
जब चाय गिरी। Thank you.
Oh my! I'm really sorry.
Don't worry, we take care of this.
सिर्फ मुझे ही सब कुछ करना पड़ता है। Happy thinking कि अगर सिर्फ अमन एक साथ काम कर सकते हैं, तुम अविनाश के साथ एक साथ काम बांट के करते थे तो मेरे साथ क्यों नहीं? मतलब तुमने मुझे अपने बराबर समझा नहीं ना? You ever see me as your equal?
So that was amazing. I hope you guys got something from that. So now we'll introduce the panelists for the talk. So first we have Shubhrangshu Dutta, the plant head of the Hyderabad manufacturing site, P&G India. We have Sanika Gokhale, the director of human resources, India talent management in Asia, Middle East, and Africa, equality and inclusion. And we have Aakanksha Sharma, manager purchases, P&G India.
Hello everyone.
Hi everyone.
So everyone, could go say that
Hi everyone. Very privileged to be here joining this August audience. Maybe the closest I've come to an IIT stage as a close concept. So I'm Shubhrangshu Dutta. My pronouns are he, his, them. I have been working with P&G almost 18 years now. Currently, I am the plant manager for the Hyderabad plant. Very proud that we produce the aerial bottle which you just saw on screen and dyed and diapers. that's a little bit about. Happy to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Sanika. My pronouns are she, her. I lead talent practice for India and I also take care of the Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa's equality and inclusion agenda. Really, really nice to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Aakanksha Sharma. I work in Purchases Department of P&G India, and I'm very thrilled to be here. Thank you for organizing this. Yeah, so we'll start off the panel. So let's first set the stage for what exactly P&G has been doing. So that as an industry leader, you have seen that the inclusivity in the workplace has improved over the past 4 years. So in your experience, what have you seen driving this change, and what changes have been made over the past 4 years?
Thanks for the question, Pooja. So, inclusion, first thing I must confess, I have a little bit of a single eye view of the world because I've always worked with P&G 18 years. And my only experience outside is reading and talking to colleagues elsewhere. But inclusion, I think, has picked up a lot of speed. And to me, there are three reasons which are driving this pace of inclusion in the external environment. And everything summarizes to one word: business. Right? There are three reasons, as I said, which are driving inclusion. Number one, and more so speaking about the event we are talking about, we are talking about LGBTQ plus as a community. Most research reports talk about anywhere between 5 to 10% of the population which relate to the LGBTQ community and they belong to it. That's for a country like India, 1.3 plus billion people, it's roughly 80 to 100 million people, right? That's a massive amount of consumers who we get us through our products, and that's purely a business opportunity. Larger than that is the bigger community beyond that, which is the ally community. The people who want to do the right thing, who want to be associated with individuals, with brands, with organizations which are seen as inclusive. And that is something, again, a larger pool of audience which companies like P&G would want to address. So there is a big size of price for the business that these people hold. Number one. Number two, similar to where we are in a campus, that 10% of the LGBTQ plus community and the allied group in general are the talent pool who we hire from. Uh, Exempting ourselves to take benefit of this talent pool would be a pity. So second, any great business would want to have the best talent and therefore none of this talent should be left alone. More so I feel LGBTQ plus is a very strong way to reflect and showcase your inclusion as an organization. Because this is one of those areas where people are still not very comfortable talking about. So an organization which is leading progressive policies, things on the LGBTQ plus, creates a bigger image of being a very, very inclusive company, which is great to have the best talent. And last but not the least, if we believe that the organization which is working for us today, roughly let's say 5,000 people, these people reflect what is there in the community. There is this 10% of LGBT in P&G and the larger ally group. Big productivity drainer for them is being closeted, not being their authentic self at work. What is another better idea which has as much ROI or return on investment than letting these people be themselves, really unleashing themselves? As an organization, we believe that if we unleash these people, that can be a big, big productivity enabler. So across all these three, it finally boils down to business. We think it makes business sense, and therefore I think this whole acceleration on inclusion is happening in the external world. What P&G? I think P&G has tried to be a leader in this space. We started in this journey way back in '92 in Cincinnati headquarters, where we included, same sex orientation, sexual orientation into our equal employee policy. We were the pioneers in that. We also started the LGBTQ plus affinity group. At that point of time, this terminology was not there. So we call it GABLE, that is gays, allies, bisexual, lesbian employees. So we kind of made this group, and and they started talking, and this was led by our senior leaders yesterday. Those who attended, Vijay Sitlani, who is our CFO in Europe, he kind of talked about it. So even when we started, our senior leadership was present there talking about this, because we believe that this needs to start right from the top. And secondly, as we grow as a company, we survive, we thrive when our employee base reflects the diversity of the consumers we serve. We serve more than 5 billion consumers across the world, and unless we reflect their diversity in our employee base, we will not be able to bring the best solution. So the acceleration has kind of enabled all these areas and us to be able to reach more consumers better way, and thereby create more impact.
Yeah, I think this is an amazing initiative that P&G has started, and it definitely doesn't make sense to exclude the LGBTQ community from the employee base, considering what they could contribute. So, Sanika, moving on to that. As an employee in HR, so how did you think the employees in P&G itself reacted to these changes implemented?
So, like Dutta mentioned, right, in 1992 itself, globally within P&G, we had included sexual orientation as part of our diversity statement. So, of course, it was, and we were one of the first of the Fortune 500 companies to have done so. In India, of course, the journey started much later. So, we only started post the decriminalization of the Article 377, so somewhere around 2018 September is when our employee resource group actually came into picture in India. And of course, we didn't have an easy start. In fact, I remember one of the first sessions that we led in the company where we were trying to train and sensitize our managers. We had a total of 7 people in the room, right? But now it's so heartening to see that the number of people or the core team working on LGBTQ plus inclusion itself is twice that size. We're a 14-member team now. And from then to now, we've trained over 70% of our managers on LGBTQ plus inclusion and sensitizing them about what this could mean at the workplace. Not only managers, but also now taking this training to our technicians, who we feel will be ambassadors for us in the community that they live in, right? So it's going to be, and it has been rather, a step-by-step change for us, tackling through different levels of management. Now, how did they react to this change? Change, of course, always is difficult and it comes by slowly. So just recounting a personal example, right? So even when I was young and I was about 15 years old, a friend of mine actually came out to me, and I did not react in the best possible ways. In fact, I felt like, thinking about it today, I definitely would have not reacted in the way that I did at that point in time. But of course, it caused a strain in our relationship. We're not really friends anymore. And that got me thinking as to what is it that I did wrong and why is it that my friend sort of alienated me. And it came to my mind that something that seemed very trivial to me, or my reaction that seemed very normal to me at that time, my friend was actually expecting a lot of support because he trusted me with his heart and soul, and I was supposed to be a friend he could confide in. And I genuinely was not able to give him that support at that point in time. So I went on and educated myself about this subject through my early 20s. I'm really happy that the change that is happening right now, you guys are probably going through that education in your teams. I was very, very happy when my niece walked up to me and she said that they were, as part of their curriculum, actually learning, and they had a story in their curriculum about 2 male penguins in a zoo who started to, or who wanted to have a family, and how they went about doing that, which was so heartening because you're now normalizing the conversations and you're essentially trying to socialize people and get them acquainted with the fact that there are different types of normals that exist, right? And what we know traditionally of as being heterosexual families is not just the whole truth, correct? So yeah, I mean, employees did react to the change well. I think we've not, I can't say, I can't claim that we're the best. I think we still have a lot of progress to make, but I'm very proud of the journey that we've crossed over the last 3 years.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's very important to normalize these conversations among all walks of life, because there are queer people in colleges, in schools, in companies. And Aakanksha, as a member of the queer community yourself, how do you feel these changes affected you personally?
Thanks for that, Pooja. So, as a member of the queer community and also as an out employee in P&G, right? I have actually followed the evolution of this particular space. In a personal capacity, I have seen people going from not knowing what LGBTQ standard for, and now it basically, these are the same set of people who are actually not just accepting it, but actually acknowledging it. And earlier, what used to be like, somebody from the LGBT community would just be a statistic, like, these many percent of people are from the community. But now it's become a collective responsibility to not let it get reduced to it. And speaking from a personal experience, I've seen people saying yes when asked that is identifying as LGBT a choice. And now it's the same set of people who are trying to educate themselves into the depths of gender and sexual expressions. So that's the kind of shift in the narrative around this particular topic has had, especially since the decriminalization. And I have from a personal story of coming out, right? So when I was in BTech, like where you are right now, I tried to check and do a sensitization check that are my friends comfortable with this particular thing? Are they going to be accepting of me or not? Every time I tried to bring up this topic, it felt like it ended up making me more closeted because there was no support as such, right? After the decriminalization, a lot of talks started happening. People started getting more sense of what these things are about. And eventually, around 3.5 years back, I had this sort of like a epiphany that, okay, I really need to do something about it. I started noticing that people are more liberal these days, they're more understanding, and I finally gathered the courage to come out to a close friend of mine. And I still remember I had cried that day because there was finally out of my mouth, and it was like, something had released. And that pressure was like, it felt good to do that. And my life was never been the same. In a corporate capacity, when I started working, this topic wouldn't even be brought up. People were not educated enough to be curious about it. There were some random occasional social media posts, but it didn't necessarily drill down to the employees. And now that I see in corporate, especially in P&G, right, the kind of thorough measures that have been put in so that people are not only educated, they are sensitized, and in a capacity wherein they go outside the organization and make a change, be a driver for this change themselves. So that's the kind of evolution that I've seen in both personal and professional capacity.
That's really amazing. It's very good that PNG was able to give you this space for you to feel comfortable with your identity. I think that's extremely important. And Tata, coming back, like as a leader, were there any things that you and other PNG leaders were doing differently? And what advice would you give leaders of other corporations for implementing the same?
I think, of course, any big change or for that matter, any change starts with leaders, and same was true for us as well. Equality and inclusion journey was always there, but it was primarily focused more on the gender equality piece. And then we started getting into it. The first, like as Sanika was talking, was primarily about awareness. Now, our actions do not stay to that once in a year refresher or awareness event or joining perhaps annual Pride parade. We have a lot of actions or activations that we do around the year. We have, while I would let Sanika to speak on the policy integration, which are very, very important in the wordings that we have included, there are a lot of smaller things that we had to do along the way. One of the things that I remember, so I lead equality and inclusion for the supply chain function where we have maximum number of people who we hire. So one of the things we did is really qualify all our recruiters. So any talent who comes to P&G, the first point of contact for them are the recruiters. And if the recruiters are not sensitized or if the recruiters are biased, maybe the whole thing stops there. So that was one of the things we did. All of you see us wearing these badges. This is not something, I see many of you wearing it. These are not something specially created for this event. These two lie around in the P&G offices, and for whenever we do these training events, we get sign up kind of thing. If you want to sign up, you can take some of these. Many of these badges, there are these rainbow lanyards or stickers on the laptop. These are very visible and powerful symbols which we send out to say, hey, this is a safe space. I understand concept, you can come and talk to me, right? Last month I at the Hyderabad plant and we hosted an E&I roadshow and we had Supriya Chakraborty, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, one of the first gay couples in India. He had come down to speak and he noticed some of these small things. He was like, I have not seen too many organizations which openly make this visible commitment. So these are small examples where we kind of make sure that we are creating an environment of inclusivity. Beyond that, also from the infrastructure standpoint, our head office has this nice rainbow entrance which says everyone is welcome. Or we have gender neutral washrooms at our offices. So, employees who do not feel comfortable in aligning with one of the two genders can use those. So those are again smaller things that we have done. Last but not the least, I think with the awareness, how we convert into action, the 3 phases of awareness, action, and then integration are important. So we are kind of somewhere between the action and integration phase. Very important as leaders is to convert that learning into action in terms of when you see behaviors, when you see words which are non-inclusive, you really take up a stand, talk about it, not with the intent of disparaging or belittling someone to say you're stupid, but really explaining them because we have to be aware of what's external context and everyone is making the journey. So we kind of explain them and enroll them into the journey so they become strong allies as part of this conversation. And there are many instances that we can quote where our leaders stand up and do this in meetings, in one-on-ones and so on. So this combination of small actions and big actions on a continuous basis, I think, is what is driving our inclusion journey.
That was very insightful. Thank you. I really think that it's important for the leaders to take a stand on this because employees tend to follow along, which is very important. I also like the fact that you are making small changes in the workplace because sometimes those are just as important as the large scale changes we're making. So, Sanika, from your experience, with these changes, did you see any breakthroughs with employees at P&G?
Yeah, for sure. So, like Anna mentioned again, so I think setting the tone with the leadership itself automatically drives or becomes a catalyst to leading change in the organization. I was really impressed that a lot of our leaders were also new to this topic, were also new to this conversation. But what was really humbling was that they were okay enough to admit that they didn't know much about this. And they actually have sat in training sessions led by people from the community, employees like Aakanksha, where they've shared their experiences and kind of convince the leaders as to why this is important to sort of go after as an equality and inclusion agenda. So that was really heartwarming to me. Of course, the small changes that we made with respect to stickers. So if you open my bag and you pull out the laptop, it's got at least 10 stickers on the laptop itself, which has a rainbow. It says "Safe Space." It says "I'm an ally." And although they seem like really tiny changes, and you may think that it's all very gimmicky, but to be honest, if someone walks into the office for the first time, they can easily spot and identify that there are supporters and allies in the room for these particular employees. And that gives them a lot of confidence to be themselves at work. Additionally, like you mentioned, our entrance also has this huge painting, right, which just says you're now stepping into an inclusive workplace. It sets the tone for what you can expect from the office. In the last 1 year, we've also put money where our mouth is, and we've in fact gone ahead and extended P&G workplace policies. So everything from health benefits to emergency loans to every other workplace benefit that we have to partners of LGBTQ plus employees. And this was a huge shift in the way that we had written our policies up until that point, and of course, very well appreciated by employees as well. Our program called Share the Care actually allows for an 8-week leave for all parents. So same-sex couples, for single parents, for adoptive parents, irrespective of gender. And that really translates and takes caregiving from just breaking gender norms to saying anyone can be a caregiver, right? So that I think is the biggest breakthrough we've had. And of course, this translating into employee stories, right? So one of the persons from the community actually walked up to me and said that 2 years ago, I didn't want to come out because I didn't want to be a weirdo in the room. And given all these changes, etc., with manager sensitization, 2 years later, that same person mustered the courage to finally walk up to the manager and actually come out to them. And the manager, in fact, created a safe space for the employee to share what he actually really wanted to. And then if eventually once the person came out, just smiled and said, yeah, that's absolutely okay, that doesn't change anything, right? And so this person quoted that, I felt like a weirdo, but only for not having come out earlier, correct? So I think that's one quote and one story that stuck with me for a really, really long time. And I believe that is the real breakthrough of the initiatives that we've launched.
That's really amazing that somebody could feel safe enough to come out and also felt like incredible once he had. So Aakanksha, like, how was your experience with coming out in the P&G workplace?
Mirror the screen.
The
No, it
experience
is
was
actually
great. I'll
mirror
start
the
by saying
map.
that. And
This is a preview.
like
That's why.
Sanika mentioned, Agatha mentioned, right, those stickers. So when I joined P&G, it was COVID time, so everything was virtual, right? And it becomes difficult in virtual world to actually understand whether you have a safe space or not. And people still put in enough effort that even if they were coming in the virtual calls, they had those rainbow masks or those rainbow lanyards and stickers on the laptop, which you could see in the videos. And that more than consciously, I think it subconsciously made me realize that, yeah, this is a safe space. And there was this mental health being going on wherein we were sharing stories, and something just, snuck up on me, and I ended up sharing my story coming out to the organization. The response I received was overwhelming. It is overwhelming till this day. And it was amazing to see that how leaders genuinely care that you are being yourself and there is nothing filtering that in the organization. And it was great. So yeah, those tiny changes actually go a long way into making someone like me feel comfortable enough to talk about it in an open space like that. And I also want to add what Sanika mentioned about the policies, right? And I still remember when that change was put in place. I was so happy. I was really happy. I was going around telling all my friends that the PNC has done this. It's such a great thing to do. And not only that, it speaks about the kind of trust they are putting in their employees. Because there is no proof in India that you are in a same-sex couple or in a marriage or whatever it could be. There is no proof of that, but PNG trusts our employees enough to take that call, and that's actually a very great thing. And those are the kind of things that made me feel that it's a right call. It's a good call to tell people that fine, I'm from the community, and nothing has changed since then. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Really happy this was your experience. But I just have like an open question for you. So here at Vannam, we're starting the awareness and sensitization towards the community in the college space itself. So do you think that the employee reaction would have been better if they had also experienced something like this before entering the workplace?
So yes, I definitely agree that the employee reactions would have been far better had they experienced something like that at college, and not only college. I think even earlier than that, right? So in your formative years, through education, in school, if you're open and if you're exposed to ideas like this, or if you're exposed to LGBTQ plus inclusion, etc., I think it definitely makes a huge difference in how you will sort of perceive this as you grow up, right? So I'll go back to the example I shared earlier, and with my niece in kindergarten, learning something about two male penguins or two same-sex penguins wanting to have a baby and starting a family, that automatically normalizes the fact that this is also okay, right? So if you have a mother or a father and children, and that's considered normal, it is also normal to have two fathers and a child, right? So yeah, the earlier we're able to penetrate and basically influence people in their formative years, the better impact we're able to make. And we can do that not only via being part of the educational curriculums, but also via our media campaigns, via our advertising and our voices in media. And I really hope that we are able to sort of use and leverage PNG's voices to sort of communicate this message across to people. And I think kudos to IIT as well to launch something like this, so that there is a forum where students can also feel like the campus is a safe space where they can actually come out and be themselves as well.
I just have one build up on that. So as Sanika mentioned that it's important to have this thing early on, right? And I personally can't even imagine what my life would have been like if I had something like this session when I was in undergrad. And it's great because this is the age where people are curious, right? When the younger you are, the more curious you are, and the more you question, the more you actually introspect about something, the more normal it seems. So that is a very important part of normalizing something. And through the media campaigns that you guys just saw the ad before the start of the discussion, right? There was a gay couple in that, but it was not exclusively called out because that is the intent of normalizing it. And it's just normal thing. They are also a couple, and that is the kind of message that media can actually bring about into society. That's the power of it. Children see these ads from the childhood, and they will see that yeah, okay, that is also a couple. A guy and a guy is there. A female and a male is there. That's also a couple. So that sort of builds that idea in their heads that whatever you see, two couple is a couple. It's not necessarily needed to be labeled as such. It's a couple, two people. That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Just to add on that, I think as Sanika said, a lot of credit to IIT Madras, IIT Chennai, that you are initiating something like this. I, as ELI leader for the supply chain function, I interact with a lot of campuses. The reality is today, most campuses do not even have a LGBTQ cell. Right? Forget about anyone. They don't even have a cell to talk about this. So, a lot of credit to IIT that you have not only created a set where folks hopefully are talking the right things, but also creating an open space like this where you are kind of trying to make it normal, and of course you have a long way to go just like we do. But that is, I think, the starting point. We have been actively trying to recruit LGBTQ plus talent. For those who don't know, there's this organization called Rise Circle which organizes Rise, which is the largest LGBTQ plus hiring channel. When we had it, there are hardly any engineers there. There are hardly any technical people there. Mostly from commerce, economics, etc. We as a company, we are a very science-based company. We produce formulas, processes, optimizations. We hire engineers in large numbers. We do not find them there. And it should be a surprise if someone from the community does 4 years of engineering or 6 years of engineering, and then comes to company, and there they start getting outside the closet. You are making that attempt to make them be authentic themselves in the campus, get them to bring out their best ideas, and I think it's a lot of credit to each one of you. You should be all proud that you are part of this journey. You're doing this for not only your campus but for the larger technical community.
Thank you so much. That's very thanking. So you guys have definitely made a lot of progress so far, a lot of impact. So what are your main priorities for the immediate future?
So I think for the immediate future, the two things that I want to highlight as our immediate priorities are, like we mentioned at the beginning of this panel, there's globally about 5 to 10% of the population that identifies as being part of the community, which means I could assume the same sort of a ratio within the P&G employees as well. But despite all our efforts, we have three out leaders at this point in time, right? Which is not, or which may not be the representation of the number of people belonging to the, or rather the number of employees belonging to the LGBTQ plus community that we actually have in P&G. So in the immediate future, I think our objective is to create a safe space so that more such employees can actually come out at work and be their true selves. That definitely is priority number one to me. Priority number two is how can we convert passive allies into active allies, right? So from a place of saying that you support a certain initiative to actually saying that you support a certain initiative and doing something about it is our next big sort of a priority. And I think we're getting there slowly and bit by bit. We actually had an employee in the office. One of these people, again, I don't think she had any awareness on the topic, say maybe 3 years ago. But given the number of sessions we've done, the number of the conversations we've had in office, she actually felt comfortable enough to approach a person from the transgender community at a store and have a conversation with them without judging them at all. And I think she came back and said that she credits this awareness, or that rather she credits this particular attitude of first to the conversations and the sensitization that we've been having over the last 3 years. So that again to me is a breakthrough, and we hope to have more such stories that come from P&G in the near future.
And the point that Sanika made, right, about making it a priority for more people from the community within the organization to feel more comfortable. So what we have done in India is we've launched a separate chapter for this. It's called Out and About P&G India, and it's run by the group of out leaders that are there within the company. And what we're trying to send the messages that even if you don't feel comfortable enough or ready enough to come out to the entire organization, it's okay to at least go come and talk to the people who are from the community and who are out in the organization. So we're trying to create that safe space, that forum wherein people can at least come and be themselves, and hopefully they will be ready to actually come out to the entire organization as well. And some of the very smaller things are going into this effort, right? I remember I was in one of the offsites where we were having this session, right? And my HR said that everybody should be a little bit more mindful while talking to each other, right? So instead of asking, okay, how is your spouse doing, or how is your wife or husband, use the word partner. Because that takes the pressure off from a person that, okay, do I have to come out again or do I have to lie about it? It takes the pressure off the person. It makes it very easy to have a conversation. And I remember it very distinctly. I was smiling when she mentioned that one sentence that if you use the word partner. I was genuinely smiling, and it felt so good because it just puts people at ease. And these are the kind of small things that make a lot of conscious changes in people's behaviors.
I think, just to add, finally, we continue to look forward to opportunities like this. That we have joined here, we want to be vocal, we want to be in the public limelight through events like this. We've seen some of our campaigns. We serve 5 billion plus consumers. We interact with these consumers through our products every day. We connect with them through various media, etc. every day. And we believe there is a lot of power that goes behind each of this communication. And it's our responsibility to use the power of our brands to communicate and educate the larger community around us. Something which we continue to do. There are multiple programs, those who touch of care program from WIX, where we share where the care comes from anyone. It could be a transgender mother in the case of the campaign, or what we saw here in the share the load. So we use this power to really educate the environment. And last but not least, we continue to look forward to hiring more and more talent, participation in drives, in whenever we are doing campus hiring, we make sure we communicate about our open door policy so that more people can apply and get selected. And hopefully we are able to get to the 10% number where Sanika mentioned at some point.
Thank you all so much for these incredible insights. And on an ending note, I'd like to say that we should also, in IITM, have more of these conversations, more of these initiatives that P&G has already started, because that will lead to a much brighter future for us as well. So to finish off, we can see another one of the campaigns that P&G started, the Touch of Care campaign. So, yeah.
When we think about a transgender, we feel like they are prosters, just dancing or more into attention seeking. We can hardly picture them as a pilot or a doctor. I wanted to change this and live my life on my terms. I was fed up with all the mockeries and bullying around me. I started to hide my gender identity. And when I reached college, nobody identified me as a transgender. At that point, I thought like, why should I care about society? I need to live as myself. The greatest
biggest challenge I faced during the transition is that is from deep inside myself, not from the outside world. I was living as a boy for almost 30 years. A male is more privileged in our society than a female. In a family also, roles are given as per the gender. Conditions of transgenders are definitely worse. So everything need to change. Changes will have to start from families. If a family accepts a kid who is a trans, definitely that kid could grow up as a better citizen. The best family is myself.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks to the IT community for organizing this event, hosting us today. And last but not the least, please continue to buy P&G products and join P&G when we come.
Thank you for coming.